my name is Bob Stellflue. I'm a senior design engineer with Team Associated. I'm down at Navarro at West Coast Raceways, working with the TC6.1 today. This is one of our new on-road platforms that we've had out, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of info on some of the important things on the setup and some of the things that I do to prepare the car for the race. Now with these on-road cars nowadays, there are so many different things that we can adjust in the car, whether it be the length of the upper links or the inner hinge pin height, the mass balance, where the things mount on the car front to back, our steering acronym, or simple things like the wheel and tire or shocks. Now, some of the biggest and most important things that we tune with at the track in our races are definitely going to be the shocks, what we put inside of them, the piston, the oil, and the spring. These are the most important factors on what controls how the car is going to work around the track and what we do to keep the car balanced. So we extensively work with the thickness of the oil and the spring that we put in the back of the car. From track condition to track condition, this is one of the most important things to change. Of course, our spring controls the ride height of the car, and the shock controls how quickly that ride height changes. So these are effective tools in tuning the car to get it balanced around the track. Typically on high bite situations, we'll run even thicker fluid in the back for the shock absorbers and a softer spring, and this will keep the car more stable and easier to drive. On lower bite conditions, when we're looking for more grip, a little bit more steering, we'll tend to put thinner oil in the back with stiffer springs. That'll help to get the car to pitch to the nose a little bit to get more steering through the corner. And once we get the car dialed in to where we're satisfied with the balance of the car front to back on the track, we'll work with smaller things such as the anti-roll bars or the droop on the car to see how much the back end picks up or the front through transitions in the corner. And that gets us quite a ways there. Now, there are a lot of other things that we can tune on this car, and certainly we don't look past them. And a lot of time is spent on them, but at the race, there's usually not the time to go through each one of these pieces independently. But we have adjustments all throughout the car, as I said before, with the inner pin height or the camber link length or the angle of the camber link. We can get down to even finer things like the tension of the belts front to rear or the amount of toe that we run in the front of the car. So all these things are effective tuning measures in racing conditions, but when the time isn't there, we certainly work with the bigger portions, and that's the shock absorber on the car. So those are some of the main things that we work with. Now, when we're setting the car up to go out to the racetrack, of course, there are a lot of things that we look at to make sure that as far as the maintenance end goes, things are adjusted accordingly. Simple things like the camber of the car, how the wheels lean in, and that they're equal left to right. The ride height of the car. So we'll set the car on the pit table and we'll measure the ride height across each corner of the car to make sure that we have what we're looking for. Situations like this, La Mirada, West Coast Raceways here, we look for usually around 5 millimeters ride height in the back and 4.5 in the front. So as a quick measure before I go out to the track, I check those things. Another one of the more important things that controls how the car is going to work around the track left to right is the corner balancing. So how much weight is being pressed down on each one of these 4 tires. And we want that to be equal left to right across the car, and that's called the tweak of the car. So we look at that before we go every time as well, and it can be done in many different ways with tweak boards or balance plates or things like that, or even simpler systems like this where we can just take the car and hang it over the table. And we'll check the tweak to make sure that one end doesn't press down more than the other. We want this to be even. And of course we go front and rear on the car. Like I said, to make sure that both ends are correct. And then we're not going to see a cross tweak in the car making the car turn more left to right or right to left, so to speak. So when these things are checked out before the race, we're pretty certain then that the car is going to be good around the track. We've done our last minute checks and we're okay to go out there to race conditions and evaluate after that round. So hopefully some of these pointers might be helpful to you in setting these cars up. Certainly there's a lot that goes into the setup, and these are just a couple small things, but they're definitely big things that need to be considered when we're in the racing conditions.